Okay, so I will ask you to stop your videos. Okay, stop the videos. And I think I can hear somebody. Maybe it's better that you make sure that your microphones are switched off. Ambra from Italy. Ciao Ambra, come stai? Sempre bellissimo sentire qualcuno dall'Italia.
Grazie mille.
Prego, io ho vissuto tanti anni, 3 anni a Milano, quindi parlo un po' l'italiano anche.
Io sono di Milano.
Oh, bello, bello, bellissimo. Mi manca tanto Milano, mi manca Monza. So, first of all, I would like to welcome you all, and I would like to welcome and introduce everybody to Iden, who is hello Iden, doing this seminar with me. As a matter of fact, the idea of this seminar came because she was like posting some information on Facebook about intensities, and I said, Iden, let's talk about this. So Iden, can you please introduce yourself a little bit?
Yeah, no problem. So hi everyone. I am Eadaoin, based in Ireland, down south in Cork. I suppose on social media and on my website, you'll see us down as Hounds and Helis. So I met Mònica, I think about 2 years ago. I think I was contacting you about coming to do a seminar in Ireland. So I think you were the first INBTI instructor I had over. And Mònica has always been so fabulous in sharing her information and knowledge that I instantly got hooked on the learning and the method. And I suppose happy to say that here in Ireland now, we're quite busy with man trailing. It's really taking off. I think in Ireland, I see a few instructors actually here who are on the call as well. And with I suppose like anything, when it gets popular, there's lots of information out there. So like, yeah, exactly where this seminar idea or this webinar idea came from was to, I suppose, just to give I suppose straight from Mònica, as well as an instructor that trains the Cocker method, exactly what is meant from what we mean intensities and stuff like that. So
yeah. And since in August I don't work that much, I thought it was the perfect moment to do something like this. And I think it's going to be interesting for everybody. Although a lot of people have already heard me talking about intensities, because I talk a lot about it. And so sorry about that. But I think it is very important, because there are a lot of misconceptions or misunderstandings about intensity, right? I think this is the problem that you came up with, this misunderstanding of what it means. I didn't.
Yeah, because I think what I found myself, because I remember when I started man trailing, I definitely misunderstood what intensities were. And I think at the time, I obviously didn't realize that I misunderstood it. So when I was training my own dog and, teaching my gang with me as well, I was training it a certain way, which I had it misinterpreted. I'd taken the word intensity as, high energy, really excited. And it was only from, the seminar with you, the very first seminar with you, Mònica, that I was like, oh, they don't mean, like, intensity means something completely different than what I thought it meant. And the change that it brought in the dogs was massive when I started doing it the way that you were showing us to do. So yeah, huge amount of misunderstanding out there about the word, and it has definitely I suppose it's caused lots of people to stop doing them because they think they cause problems, but they only cause problems if we're teaching wrong.
And also I think that maybe the problem is because as we've talked about before, when you go to a seminar, you see things done in one way, and you take this way and you say, okay, this is the way to do it, and then that's the way you do at home, and maybe it doesn't work for your dog, or it works for some dogs but it doesn't work for others. And it really is difficult in one seminar to teach so many, like what we talked about in the title of this, the shades of the intensity, like the little details that can make it work for one dog or make it work for another dog. So, and maybe also because when we started, or the Cocker method started, people teaching the Cocker method were very, very good dog trainers, very good man trainers, but maybe they were not like behaviorists or not, so they maybe they didn't know how to make it work for every dog, and maybe that's a little bit also something that we can have added to it. This personalize the intensity according to the dog that you have in front of you. You know that in modern dog training, we always say now, train the dog in front of you. And this we have to apply to man training, because I think that in man training, a lot of people think it's just, we have to teach the method and that's it. But it's training a dog to do something. So we have to treat it as training. And we have to think, how can I train this dog? How can I teach the game to this dog? Right? And I have to do it in the right way for this dog. So the method is one, and it has some principles, but then it depends on every dog that you have to adapt things to that dog. Okay. And I also think that, and you will agree with me, Iden, that the more dogs you teach or the more dogs you train with, the wider your spectrum becomes, and the more ideas or ways to do things that you get, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Like there's huge flexibility I find within the method. So like you kind of read the book and you read stuff online, but what I found from working with the instructors is that it's not rigid. Like once there's core principles and foundations that are stuck to while we train, but there's huge flexibility then to train the dog in front of you of how you approach each of the different types of dogs that you have, and personalities, and different motivation levels and stuff. So the method is actually really flexible, which is actually one of the things that I really like about the Cocker method.
Well, as I think all methods should be flexible in that way, because otherwise you cannot make the most of the training with every dog. So I feel bad when sometimes says this doesn't work for this dog, this doesn't work for that dog, because maybe they do it one way, but then they don't do it. They do it with every dog the same, and it's not like this. It doesn't work like this. It should not be like this. So because then if a dog is too sensitive for a very strong intensity, they say the dog is not good. Maybe the problem is that the runner is not good enough. So
Yeah.
or it's not doing the things. I mean, poor runners. The runner it's never the runner's fault. But I mean, something is going wrong if we cannot help this dog, or we cannot tease the dog the way the dog needs to be teased. That's my opinion. First of all, I think that we should clarify and say what intensity means, because in my world, intensity means to create like high drive intensity. This is the word, right? And I think for you as well, and for everybody in Europe, intensity means fire. And intensity, yes, it's to build this desire in the dog to follow the trail, creates an interest, creates a motivation. This is why in Spain we translate it in Spanish in trail con motivación, because we try to motivate, to increase the dog's motivation to follow the trail and find the runner. But there is no need to create excitement when we are creating interest, or we are motivating the dog. We're creating more motivation in the dog. So that is the difference. Intensity doesn't mean excitement. And this is what we should take very much into account. So this is why we say we have to personalize. Intensity, as a matter of fact, is just like when the runner shows the reward to the dog, and it's like, as I say, the promise we make to the dog: I will give this to you if you follow my scent and find me. It's only this. The way you do it will always depend on the dog you have in front of you and what the dog needs. That's basically it. It's not one size fits all. As everything in dog training, it's, if you do everything the same for every dog, you're a bad instructor, in my opinion, or a bad trainer, because you are not thinking about the dog and the handler that you have in front of you, because the handler is also very important. I don't know if you want to add something about this, Iden.
I'm just sorry, I was getting a text there that a couple of people are having problems logging in, so I'm just going to send them the link. But
Yeah, okay.
yeah, no, I think with like even recently enough, like say with my own dog, you know, we're at the stage where you know he doesn't need much from the runner. Like if we're doing an intensity start, he doesn't need much depending on where we are or what, you know, if we're after a really long drive, you know, I do like a little bit of excitement from the runner on his first trail, just to really kind of help him, you know, get into the mindset for the training that I want him to do, or if we're somewhere where he's going to struggle with a particular distraction around. So there's days where I'm doing an intensity start and it's just the runner walking off. That's it. They might show him the pot and walk off. And then there's other days if we're next to a playground and people are kicking balls around the place, and you know, and I think he's particularly distracted and I want him to work this trail really well because I have a component that I want him to practice. Well, then I'm going to ask the runner to get a little bit more excited for him, but always keeping it at a level where his brain isn't blown before, you know, the runner even leaves.
Exactly. I think that is the secret. It's to try to keep that balance between excitement and motivation. Okay, and this is something that is also a little bit confusing for some people. Some people don't understand very much the difference. So you want a good level of excitement, because excitement is always great. I mean, when we are always excited when we have something fun coming ahead. So a little bit of excitement is good, but not too much that the dog cannot think. Okay, so that should be the level. So we want motivation and focus, and a little bit of excitement, of course, because we are creating joy and passion in man-trailing. That's what we want. So with this comes also excitement, but it has to be the right type of excitement. Catherine, hello. I can't help greeting people. I'm sorry. It's so wonderful to see so many people that I know. But yes, this is the some of the most important things. Now, when we talk in the Coher method, you know, that we talk a lot about intensities. It's one of the basics of the foundations. I know it's not something that only us do, because I know that some other training methods also use this kind of intensity exercises or motivational exercises with the dogs to increase the motivation and to build the man-trailing dogs. So it's not only us who do it. And I know some people don't use them because it's not necessary, and it's okay. It's not a problem. This is, I teach you and we show you the way we do it, but we don't mean that the other ways are bad. We are just here to talk about the intensities because some people don't understand them, and it's a pity. It's really a pity. So, oh, and a very important thing about intensities is that we must not forget that we are building emotions in our dogs. We are creating good memories and good emotions. You know that dogs, of course, have lots and lots of emotions, and we want to build something that is really big in our dogs in man-trailing, not only for operational dogs that have to go on a real case and they have to think that man-trailing is the best game ever, but also for pet dogs and for everybody who is doing man-trailing. We want joy and happiness and engagement in man-trailing, and a wonderful way to build this is using intensities. Please interrupt me if you want to say something, Iden, or if anybody else wants to say something. We will talk a little bit, and then we would like to show you some videos, very short videos where you can see some intensities. Okay, of videos that we have recorded. So we will talk a little bit and then show you videos. But when we talk about intensities, we are talking about different types of intensities, like the normal intensity that we use when we start training a man-trailing dog, when we want to maintain this the motivation, to keep the motivation high, and we will also use intensities at the end of the trails. We will talk about this. We will use the delayed start intensity trail to transition from the intensity to the center start. We will also use extended trails, which means a lot of intensities, one after the other, like 4, 5, 6 intensities on a row. Also to create passion, to increase distances also. And also we have a very good, interesting tool, which is the flip, which means the runner and the hunter change positions. And normally flips are done to also increase motivation, to teach the game, to overcome challenges. And it's normally done with an intensity and then a couple of more intensities, okay? We will not go into detail about these things because this is not a general man-trailing seminar. But I just want to say that intensity is not only at the start, but we use intensities in different ways. So we have, when we use intensities, we use intensities at the start of the trail, when we do intensity start, delayed start, and we also do intensities at the end of the trail. Because we normally, when we finish a trail, especially if it has been a difficult trail, long trail, or we have found that it was difficult for our dog anyway, an intensity at the end is important. Because remember, we are building emotions. We don't want to take the dog to the car thinking, oh my God, that was so difficult. That was very difficult. It's oh my God. We want the dog to think, okay, that was difficult, but I had a great time. So, and I could do it, and I overcame the challenge, and I am the best. Okay, and we can do this if we link a short intensity at the end of the trail together with the trail, because in the dog's mind is the same exercise. Okay, so for these people who are a little bit scared of running intensities at the beginning, maybe they can start running intensities at the end of the trails, and they can see that the whole emotion of the dog changes. Okay, because I have been in seminars where people are a little bit scared of doing intensities, and they say, no, I don't want to do this, because they are, I don't know, they are a little bit afraid of the dog running too fast or something like this, because they have one type of intensity in mind. So we say, okay, don't worry, we are not going to force anybody to change anything in a seminar. I will never do that in a seminar, you know. But why don't you try to do an intensity at the end and see if things start to change? And little by little, they change. But the most important thing is that we teach them how to do it, right? That is the job of the instructor. How can they do an intensity without creating that excitement that a lot of people are afraid of? Okay. Do you want to add something about this, Iden?
Well, even just going back to what you were saying there about like a lot of the stuff that we're saying is kind of, it does make sense under the umbrella of modern dog training. Because even like one thing that was always said to me when I was learning the ropes as a dog trainer was always finish on a good note.
Yeah.
So even if the training session is going terribly, you know what I mean, just finish on something good and call it a day. And that's kind of what the intensity trail at the end always does, is it should finish it on a really good note. So even if you've done really well in your main trail, or maybe it didn't go to plan, with the intensity trail, the dog is finishing on a high. And that's what they'll take into their next trail, is the anticipation at the end of it is going to be good.
Yeah, exactly. And remember that we always say that your next trail will be as good as the celebration of the last one. So because we're talking again about emotions. So if the dog thinks, I have so much fun with this game, the dog is going to want to go to do it again. If the dog has a bad experience, the dog will not want to repeat the bad experience. So that's, and it's so simple and it's so clear and so basic that it's difficult to say, how can people not understand? And if you don't bring joy in man trailing, maybe you have a very good dog with a good drive and very well motivated, but eventually this motivation will go down eventually, because I was about to say they are human beings. They are not human beings. They are beings. So they need these little extra boosts of motivation sometimes. This is why we encourage everybody to try, and we will explain to you a little bit how to do it, because the way you tease the dog is very important. Remember that if the runner doesn't do a good job teasing the dog or increasing the motivation of the dog to follow them, the dog will not want to follow them. Okay, so you have to take this into account. So as a matter of fact, I was telling Iden that in Spanish, I say that in man trailing, it's not only a team of dog and handler that we work, we always need the runner. And this is why in Spanish, when it's a team of two, we call it a binomio. A team of three, we call it a trinomio. And in that case, I said maybe we could call it a threesome. I don't know. But if you know what I mean, the runner is also very important. And when we are building the dog and we are using intensities, the role of the runner is very important. So the handler must take the run, tell the runner how the runner has to tease the dog. Okay, so this is why in that case I want to mention how important it is to try to be as good a runner as possible. Because as I always say, if I am a dog handler and I have a man-trailing dog, I need a runner. I need to have very good runners, especially when I need the runner to tease my dog. And I have to try to be myself the best runner for all the dogs that I am running for. Okay, because this is a team that we are working. So if I expect everybody to be good runners for my dogs, I should have to try to be the best runner possible. Okay, and this is very important. When we are starting to build our man-trailing dog, because now at that stage, the intensity is the type of start that we use. So we really need very good runners. The role of the runner in that case should be to read the dog that he has in front of him or her, and also to listen to the handler, because the handler should be explaining, my dog is shy, please do not lean on my dog, please be careful because my dog is a piranha and he will eat all the food. Be careful with your fingers. So all these kind of things the handler should know and should tell the runner, and the runner should do the best he can to do everything according to the dog, to what the dog needs. Sometimes it's the instructor also who can read the dog and see some things that maybe the handler cannot see because they don't know as much as the instructor knows. So the instructor may say, I think your dog is a little bit shy. Maybe the runner should be farther away from the dog when teasing, so we should really talk about all these little things before starting the trail. This is for me essential. This is why we take so much time talking before doing the exercise. As a matter of fact, we should not take the dog out of the car until we have talked about all this. Because then when we take the dog out of the car, we should already know and be prepared to start the routine and everything. Okay, so take your time every time you go, you start the trail, and have everything clear before you take the dog out of the car. Okay, especially when you are training with shy dogs, sensitive dogs, insecure dogs, okay, or very high drive dogs also, because you take a very high drive dog out of the car and you have to talk about and discuss the length of the trail or the directions of the trail and everything, the dog may get frustrated, and that is gonna be bad for the trail. Okay, so talk about everything and then do.
And that's actually such a good point as well about the high drive dogs, because kind of people take it for granted.
Yeah.
That it doesn't matter what happens to that dog before the trail, they're still going to want to do it. And maybe in the moment the dog will, but it's over time. It's over time you start to see little problems grow. That if the dog has been, like you were saying, hanging around and frustrated to go, it's not in the right mindset now to be able to trail. It's now in a real frustrated, almost like a sticky mindset, and you're going to ask them to go, and they're going to struggle. They're going to struggle to go because you've asked them to wait, unnecessarily for the last, whatever it is, 5 or 10 minutes, and probably while they were like really enthusiastic to go, you're pulling them back, you were telling them to sit, you were trying to get them under control, and that all you see is that kill the dog's motivation to want to go. So it's the lovely balance that you're trying to get at the start of the trail. So I agree with you. Chat your trailer before the dog gets out of the car. Even, I know in my gang we train in groups, and someone's running a dog and someone's running, but between yourselves, you know who your runner is going to be next. So chat to your runner and at that stage and say, well, listen, I'm up in 2 trails time. Can you make sure you do this? And show them, even without the dog, just kind of mime what you want them to do, and talk to them about what you want them to do with the dog, because it's so important. It's just vitally important.
Yeah. And even if you know the dog because the dog is in your team, that dog that day for that particular exercise may need maybe extra motivation, or may need less, or maybe the dog is tired. So even if you know the dog, take your time to discuss, to talk with the handler, or the handler with the runner, to say, okay, okay, and we have to do like, I don't know, like a vehicle pickup, and my dog needs an extra boost of motivation. I want to do it with an intensity. So please tease my dog with energy. Okay, so even if you know the dog, take your time to think, okay, how is my dog today? What is my exercise? Is my exercise very difficult or not? And then you decide what do you want to do. And talking about this, a little anecdote that I had in one seminar I think it was in Austria, but I don't remember. I think it was in Austria. And I was telling you about it a couple of days ago, Iden, when there was a vehicle pickup, and there was this team that they have never done the vehicle pickup. And I told the guy, what type of start do you want to do? Intensity, delayed, centaurtical? And he said, centaurtical. And I said, why? Because this is a new exercise. And he told me, because with intensity, this is too easy for the dog. And I was like, oh, okay. And it made me really think. And I said, no, this is not true. This is what you think. And this is what a lot of people think, that when you do things with using an intensity type of start, you're making it too easy for the dog. But this is not, first, this is, I mean, it doesn't make sense, but let me explain you why. First of all, the exercise is one we set up, for instance, a vehicle pickup. The difficulty on the exercise is the same, whether you do it with an intensity or delayed or centaurtical start. The only thing that will change if you do it with an intensity is the extra boost of motivation your dog will have to do it. Like, you can do it also with a delayed if you think an intensity would be too much. But this is not making it easier for the dog. It's making it more achievable for the dog. It's making it easier for the dog to do it. And this is exactly what we want when we teach the dog, especially when it's the first time. So using an intensity doesn't mean your dog is weak, or your dog is bad, or your dog doesn't have motivation. It means that you are a clever, very clever handler, that you say, for this exercise that is new for my dog, I want him to be extra motivated, because this extra motivation will give him the focus to work harder and understand the situation. In that case, that the dog would give us a clear indication when he ran out of scent. You understand what I mean? Am I making myself clear? Because I think this is extremely important.
One of the ways you put it to me actually recently, Mònica, was that it affects the mindset of the dog going into the task. So it doesn't make the task any more or less difficult for the dog, but it makes the dog more positive going into it.
Absolutely.
And I thought that was fantastic, because you think of like, God, you think of like anything, and even if it's your normal work day, and if you're not positive going into a task, it automatically makes the task so much more difficult for you. You put it off, you don't want to do it, you don't put too much energy into it. But if your mindset going into that task you're about to do is really positive and motivated to do it, you're automatically going to find that task a little bit easier to do. So I think when you said that to me, that was one of those light bulb moments of, okay, yeah, I'm starting to get it now.
Yeah, and there is nothing like to be ashamed of. And I don't say it because it's I say it because we have had people telling us, oh, you're still doing intensities? Oh, like surprised. And this has happened to Ernest, my partner, who has now his second man-trailing dog. And with his first man-trailing dog, they found 4 people and gave lots of information. And he never stopped doing intensities or delayed starts, because he knew that's what kept his dog's motivation high. And some people told him, oh, you're still doing intensities? And he said, yes, of course. And if you have been on a seminar with him, you know that he says, I will do intensities with my dog until I retire my dog, and she's on the couch. That's the moment I will stop running intensities. Okay, so don't be afraid of doing intensities for all these reasons. And then you will see the big difference in your dogs, the joy and the happiness and the shining eyes. And yes, this may make the dogs be a little bit faster on the trail, but you will be able to manage this speed, because you will adapt your speed to your dog's speed. Okay, but if the dog is too fast, it may not be a problem with the intensity, but how you do it, maybe. And also your body position, the handler's body position when they start the trail, because you will see some videos here, but we normally, when you start, you should have your, especially if you have a very high drive dog, your body position should be like leaning a little bit back, so you can compensate for the speed of the dog at the beginning. Okay, so, but before giving up on intensities, think about maybe changing the way you do them. Okay, and also maybe if it's too much the intensity for you, you can do a delayed start intensity trail, where there is also this teasing moment, but we separate it with a lapse of time between this teasing moment and the starting moment, so the dog has more chances to calm down. Okay, but please do not be scared. The intensity is your friend. I would say something like this. And of course, there are some things that we have to take into account when we do an intensity. Intensity doesn't mean crossing and going fast, because that doesn't make sense. That is not using the nose. That is just running. And for some dogs, this is very rewarding. So we don't want dogs to run. And this is why, instead of letting the dog run in a straight line, we always like to do at least one angle. Even if it's short intensity, make sure that there is always a 90-degree angle or like an intersection or something, so the dog has to think, has to use the nose. This way we teach the dogs that even if it's an intensity, you have to be focused from the very moment that you start. Even if it's a second intensity, always add a turn or an angle, or change the sidewall, so the dog understands that he has to use the nose, even in a short intensity at the end. Okay, that's important. And also, we don't let the dogs watch too much the runner going, because this also increases the hunt drive. So we don't want this craziness that the dog, especially very high drive dogs, if they see with a glimpse of the eye that the runner is going, that will increase the desire to run rather than to focus. Okay, so if you take these precautions, there shouldn't be a problem using intensities or delayed starts at the beginning of your trail or of your exercise. I have a nice list of some of people have already heard them. The 10 Commandments of Ernest, my partner, wrote 10 times that he uses intensities, and we can share with you this list afterwards, and you will see that it's a very interesting list of whys or whens, especially whens. I don't know if you want to go. What time is it?
8:05.
Okay, then maybe we can put some videos, and we will comment the videos, so you can see some different ways of doing the intensities. Shall we answer some of the questions now? I think there is.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah, Susan. Yeah. In the time between seeing the runner leave and getting to start the trail, I'm trying to work on calm protocol during the period. Any thoughts? A calming protocol, I think it's a fantastic idea, Susan. I think that is really, really great, and it will probably work for your dog. Is this when you do some kind of teasing at the start, or is this the normal syntartical start? Because some dogs get really very excited, and I would really calm the dog down. Some high drive dogs, sometimes they like to ask the dog like a sitting position. We don't do it, but it may work, or maybe teach the dog to focus a little bit more on you. But most of all, what I like is what you are doing now, this calming protocol. Yeah, and walk around the area, and you know that we do the inventory circle. We let the dogs walk around the area a little bit. So this may be also good for you. And when I do this, and I know, and the dog knows the trail, I know the trail, the direction of the trail. Sometimes I let my dogs, depending on whether it's an intensity or the delay, of course, I let, when I see the dog is focused there, I say, yes, we go now. Yes, okay, good boy, good job. And then I'll calmly, I go and put the harness on my dog, because what I don't want is to kill the joy, kill the happiness, kill the motivation. I just want to channel it, and into more focus. But I don't want to punish this excitement. I don't want to say to my dog, no, easy, stay down. I don't want to do anything like this. If I say something to the dog, it has to be like, I understand, what do you want? And I am only asking you to wait. Okay. So I have to be calm, because the only thing that this proves is that the dog is eager to do the job. So it means that we have built a good motivation in the dog. And now we have to lower that and calm the dog down. Okay. But always do things in a calm way. Don't let the dog wait too much. And I think that the way what you are doing now, Susan, should be good for you. And be very patient. Be very patient. And if the dog starts running fast, I would keep a short leash and don't let the dog run like crazy, and give a little bit more leash as the dog starts to focus. Maybe you can try to do something like this. Either is intensity start or delay. Yeah. Walk him more, walk him longer. Normally what we say is that when you do a delayed, for instance, you have to wait until the dog starts sniffing other things. This may take some time, okay? But you can try, wait a little bit, and when the dog gets a little bit distracted, you go back to the starting point, and then you start harnessing the dog, etc. But I know it can be frustrating for some dogs not to be able to start as soon as they want. But it's a matter of training them. I also had a dog my first dog had a very good drive, and he pulled very strong because he was like 35-kilo Labrador. But he understood quickly that he should wait patiently, and then he could start. So with time, if you are consistent, consistency is very important. I don't think you should have any problems.
And actually, one of the things I've noticed on one of the dogs as well, I'm not too sure, Suzanne, would this be of use to you? But on the scent inventory, to do it not on a short lead, because sometimes the dogs actually get frustrated trying to do the scent inventory in a short lead, and give them like a couple of meters on the long line. So even maybe 3 meters, so they can actually sniff, because the sniffing is calming.
Yeah.
So if they're on a short lead, they can't duck the head down to the ground to actually do an inventory and start sniffing. And I've seen dogs get really frustrated at that, and by the time they're coming back to get their harness on, they're already frustrated. And that's when having to stand still now for the harnessing and the dressing, that's when a lot of the barking starts and the jumping starts, because now they have to be static. So possibly something even as small as that, or other little changes, just like Monica's talking about, will work.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, we're not talking about the starting routine here. This is not the place to talk about it. But in the scent inventory, in that big circle we do around in the area where we start, the dog should be allowed to sniff everything, because that's what the inventory circle is for. So the dog should be allowed to sniff and pee and poo and everything, and to search for the scent of the person that he's gonna have to follow. So yes, 2 meters leash, maybe even 3, and take your time. And if your dog, take your time, of course, not 1 hour, but take your time. It's the time, a moment for you and your dog. And if your dog has to do a good job, you have to make everything possible so the dog is comfortable. And this includes a good inventory circle. And if you need to do 2 inventory circles, you do 2. Some dogs, for instance, use the first one to sniff and pee and poo and everything. And then the second one, they focus more on the scent. Okay, so be flexible also with this, and think what is best for your dog. Try as many things as possible. Or if you have doubts, you can ask any of the instructors or assistant instructors in your area, or me, or whomever, and say, what can I do? And maybe we can give you ideas. We don't know everything. I don't know everything, but maybe we can give you ideas that can help you. This is why it's very good to have a network of people that you, even from far away, now that we have Zoom, that we can talk and ask questions. Because I have a group of people I ask questions when I have doubts, or a special dog or difficult dogs. So do not be focused on only one thing. Ask somebody if they have had experience with the same type of dog, how they did it, etc., etc. Okay, that would be very important. Let's have a look at the videos. Do you want to show your videos first?
Yeah, I can do that. Okay.
She has a couple of very short videos, and I have also a couple or 3 short videos. And then if somebody wants to comment something, we can do it.
Okay, 2 seconds. So the first one actually is a really nice gentle intensity. So it's for a spaniel who can be a little shy with the runner. So I might even show it twice in case you missed it the first time, but that's literally the level of the intensity start that the dog is doing now, which is scent article drops and the person heads off. And you can actually see, I'll play it again. They walk off calmly. And then once they're away from the dog, that's when they kind of like, I suppose, if they want to run, they can pick up a little bit of speed and get into position. So the reason that we've done that on that occasion with that dog is because he doesn't need excitement from the runner. He doesn't need it all. Also, sometimes he's a little bit shy. So if the runner gets down towards him in an attempt to be exciting, he can actually back up, he can spook, and he doesn't like it. So with that dog there, that's all it is. They just say, good dog. They don't even present the food down to the dog's nose. They might open it at waist level without offering it to the dog. Let the dog see it, close the tub, drop the scent article, and go. And that's what that intensity start looks like.
Yeah, and that's what we call it, a gentle intensity. And in this case, I would even suggest, if necessary, you have here a white car. The runner the handler and the dog can be behind the car. So if the dog wants to turn, the handler should allow or can allow the dog to turn, because the dog will not see the runner go. We want to avoid the dog seeing with the eyes. Haven't you seen, because I've seen it sometimes, that when you let the dogs watch, they run until the area where they saw the runner, and suddenly the behavior changes because now they have to use the nose. And I have seen it sometimes very clearly, and I say, the dog has this visual memory, goes running fast, and suddenly says, oh my God, where is he now? And now the dog has to change and switch to use the nose. And this is not always easy for some dogs. So if we don't let them see from the beginning, but we do the exercise, good trails adequate to that dog, the dog will not have problem using the nose. Okay, so yep, you may let them see, you may let them see for a couple of meters maybe, but we don't even do that. We don't even do that, because I think we don't, it's very much inside of our brain. In my team here, in my teams, we don't let the dogs watch because we want them to use the nose, which they can use it. I mean, they don't have a problem using the nose. But if you have shepherds or like dogs like this, that they are more visual, I would avoid completely letting them watch.
Okay, so I'm just going to give a little explanation before we start, because it's a little bit longer. It's around about 2 minutes. So we're doing a start here from a car seat. So we're doing this as an intensity start. It's the second time that this dog has done he's done a car seat start. The first time he actually did it for my van. And the dog was totally happy doing it. This time we were kind of chatting about it during the start. The dog was worried that the owner was trying to put the dog back into the car to put it away. So the dog was a little reluctant to go. But we said we'd work on, because it's really interesting body language out of the dog, and in response to the runner as well. So it's a little collie. She's not trailing too long, maybe about her 6th or 7th session. And she is enjoying the trail. She doesn't need much motivation from the runner to want to go. She's quite happy to trail, but she can be easily kind of, if something happens that she doesn't like, her body language is quite expressive. So she'll turn away and kind of be like, no, I don't like this. So she's always interesting to watch. So this is after the scent inventory. You can see she's quite comfortable to get close to the runner, and the handler's gonna dress her now, put on the harness and attach the long line. So at this stage, we always ask the runner, it can be difficult enough to get your dog into a harness. So we try to ask the runner not to be firing the dog up even at this stage, because all you end up then is with a handler who's wrestling a dog into a harness. And we must always think about the experience of the dog during this whole process, that they're not in a situation that they find a little bit uncomfortable. So we always ask the runner, just until the handler is ready for you to do the fire up, just ignore the dog. So the dog is a little bit just distracted by the people there behind. She's watching them. You'll see now in a second when the handler's kind of getting ready to go, she wants to place the dog in a slightly better position where when the runner leaves, that door is going to block the view. And what will happen is she's gonna want to push the dog forward is what she tries to do. And what I explain is no, we'll let the runner draw the dog towards her by just encouraging her with the food. So you can see the dog is turning away. This could be distraction or just uncomfortable. She's trying to get the dog into a better position. And I'm just saying, no, wait, we're going to ask the runner now just to draw the dog closer. So you'll see the runner will be like, just open the tub. The dog will run in really nice and happy. But then you'll see the runner will go down to try to get the dog's attention again. And the dog actually really doesn't like the food being thrown under her nose. She doesn't like it at all. She'll turn away.
As a matter of fact, it's interesting because some people want the dog to really sniff the food or get too close to the runner. And in that case, for instance, the dog has the runner in front. The dog knows already who is the runner.
Yeah.
So it's just we do it because we do it. But I mean, there is no need for the dog to be closer to the runner. Because the runner is in front of the dog and the dog is sniffing constantly. So the dog knows perfectly well the job, and the dog knows that is the runner. So increasing the distance is okay. I mean, you don't have to force your dog to be too closer to the runner, especially if the dog is not comfortable with that situation. And that was a beautiful example, Iden, thank you, because you could clearly see how the dog is uncomfortable. Of course, it's also the situation is a little bit strange for the dog. So the dog is not very comfortable. The dog was also a little bit worried by that people. But this is nothing that is bad. I mean, this is something we can work on, and the dog will be more confident and more happy in these situations also. It's just a matter of training. But to make it easy for the dog, we should always be aware of these little signs of the dog, so we can understand the dog is not comfortable, or the dog is worried. And we have to think that dogs can smell cancer, can smell everything. So they for sure can smell a whole person. So they don't need to be at 1 centimeter of the person or 1 centimeter of the scent article. If the dogs know the job, the dogs don't need to be so close to the runner in that case. Okay, so think about these little things, because everything you do at the start will affect the dog, will affect the performance. If you pull the leash a little bit, even if you are distracted, and so be very careful with all these things. Even as you approach, like in that case, as you approach the door, just watch your dog. Be very careful with the leash. Be very careful with everything you do, because you may be, not in this case, in other cases, you may be correcting the dog without even noticing. Okay, so it is very important that we are always the moment we go to take the dog down of the car, we should be watching our dog. Because some people, they move the dog a little bit, maybe to put the dog in position, and they are already killing a little bit of the motivation, and you can see the tail of the dog is changing. The ears of the dog are changing. So sometimes we manipulate the dog without even realizing it, but everything we do will affect our dogs. Okay, so it's very important, especially with sensitive dogs. If you have a hard dog that doesn't care, it's okay. But even though, you please have to be very, very careful, because in the end, we want the dog to have always a very good experience. Always when he's trailing, we want the dog to have a good experience, because otherwise the dog will not enjoy it and will not want to do it. And we cannot force a dog to do something, especially something like this. I'm gonna share my screen. Let's see if I can do this. Can you see it? I don't know if I can do it better.
Yeah, we can see it now.
Yeah, okay, perfect. This is only, this is only a sequence of photos of, I like this woman. She's a very good runner. She is from a search and rescue group. And both are in a search and rescue group. This is a very young dog in training last year. And you will see this, I like this sequence of photos because the runner is in a very good position, like separated from the dog, is showing the dog the reward, but not forcing it, not putting it in the dog's mouth. And she will like pretend, I give it to you, or don't give it to you, I give it to you, I don't give it to you, and I go away. Okay, and I like this. The position is like what we say, like the rabbit is going, is leaving. Okay, this is a more dynamic position with a dog that has no problem. Okay, It's a very balanced dog, young dog, no insecurities, not too high a drive. So she can do it this way. Also, the handler is very gentle. The handler is smiling. Okay, so you see, this is a very nice intensity. It's only a sequence of photos because I don't have it in video. But that should be a little bit the position, never putting the reward of the dog in the mouth of the dog, because you will cause the opposite reaction. The dog will say, oh, I don't like this. Okay, so it's better to show it from a little bit some distance, because we want the reward to be interesting, but unreachable, like tempting, and we want the dog to feel like, I want to find this, I want to follow this guy or this, so he or she can give me my delicious reward. Of course, if it's a new reward for the dog, you can give them a piece of the food, or tell them, let them lick it a little bit, and then the runner can go. Okay, this is another nice not too high intensity, because this is a young dog. So they show the food and she goes, not a big fuss, not a big things. She goes, and here we use the corner. You see that we let the dog turn a little bit. She's calming the dog, she's caressing the dog, she's talking to the dog. And when we don't see the runner anymore, they will start. You see the dog shakes a little bit, because the dog is a little bit like, let me go, let me go. She's looking at her. Now she's calmly giving the scent article, and then they start. You see how the dog is really fast, but the dog is learning to calm down. Okay, so that is another nice way to do it. This is a very young, very high drive Labrador, and these are people who train with me here in Catalonia. In that case, with that dog who is very, you see, very motivated and jumpy, we have the runner in between people, so the dog doesn't know who is the runner in the inventory circle. And the food, Merche, the runner, was carrying the reward, as you can see. Let me go back a little bit. So we don't want the dog to sniff the reward in anybody when the dog is doing the inventory circle, because we don't want the dog to say, oh, give me the reward, and jumping on that person. Okay, so the dog in that case doesn't know who is the runner. So and now there's also a very nice thing that the handler has done here, is the handler gives the reward to the runner, and asks the runner to go in the right position without moving the dog. Is the runner who will give the food on that side. You could also ask your runner, like in luring, you know what luring is. You can use the food, if the runner has the food, use it to move the dog in the right position that we want the dog, instead of moving the dog. Okay, it's a more gentle way to deal with that situation. When we, instead of what you see here, they move the dog without moving the dog physically, only using the reward. Okay, now in that case, you see the dog is really high drive, and I was asking them to be more closer to the wall, but they didn't do it. So she was very neutral, showing the reward, dropping the scent article, and look at the dog, how the dog wants to go. And now she has this position, which is okay for the dog, and they are okay with it. I have no problem with this position. You see, now the dog turns. I will not correct the dog. The dog is already facing the trail. The dog wants to face the trail. I should never correct this. So this is why we use the visual blocks, because we understand this. So we give the scent to the dog. The dog wants to go, but the handler will slowly start to let the dog go. You see how fast the dog is? So we let the dog run a little bit. We let the handler run a little bit, but little by little, as the trail goes, they will slow down. They will find the good balance between them. But you see, this is a very high dog, but is doing an intensity, okay? Because it's a young dog, and I think there was some kind of component here, so she wanted to do it with an intensity trail, which is very clever of her. This is an old video that a few years ago, as a matter of fact, they are wearing masks. So it's during confinement. And this is another way you can do an intensity if the dog is okay with this position. Because in that case, that was a lovely American Staffordshire. In that case, what we do, this is the runner waiting, is that we will turn the dog around. We will move the dog. This way, what we do is you will see it, but the dog will not be able to see the runner at all because we will move the dog completely. Of course, not all dogs will tolerate this. You see? And before the runner goes, they turn the dog. So, and when the runner is away, they will turn the dog again where the runner was, but the runner is gone. Only the scent article is there. I will show it to you again. This is also a very interesting type of exercise of start if your dog is comfortable being moved a little bit like this. Okay, not all dogs, I already told you, not all dogs will tolerate this movement. But all of the things we are showing you now in these videos are intensities. So imagine all the possibilities that you have. I will move it. But the dog was very high drive, but the dog understood clearly that he should be patient in that moment before starting. That was also a very good teasing from the runner. And then I like my runners to run. I like my runners to run, not to walk. I always tell people that there is a firefighter in Ibiza, a fantastic guy, Juanma, and he says this sentence, you run to hide, you walk to find. So you run to hide, especially in an intensity, because we don't want the dog to be waiting for too long in the intensity. And then you should walk when you do your trail, even though we sometimes run with our dogs, because at the beginning some dogs need running, and a little bit I mean, with time we slow them down, okay? But yeah, so yeah, I don't think we have much time, so I will not show you the flip. There is a flip in my YouTube channel that you can watch. And it's a very interesting flip. I will show you very, very quickly, only the start of the flip, because that was a very interesting situation with Ernest's old dog that she passed away. Sorry, because everything is in Spanish. So that's the situation. The runner was this guy. This is a firefighter from the north of Spain, and that's the dog. But suddenly, what happens is that we could hear some strong church bells very nearby, and the dog suddenly got scared of the church bells. So what Ernest did was immediately, because he knew that that could be a problem for the dog, he decided to ask the runner to do a flip. And for this, you have to be very fast. You see how they were about to start, and suddenly they hear the church bells. You will not hear them because I muted the video. But you saw the tail of the dog is not comfortable, and Ernest, with a full adult dog who has found people, he said, I need a flip. And that's what he does. In that case, there is a very short angle and it's a very short trail, because the goal now has changed. Now we need to overcome the situation. You see how the dog's tail is different, because he's searching for his handler, his daddy, Ernest. Ernest wants to make sure that everything is okay. He does another one. This handler is a little bit clumsy, because he was not very, didn't have a lot of experience in van trailing. But he did a very good job. And now they change. You see, Ernest says, okay, now I think we can do the normal intensity. And here Ernest got a little bit carried away and lets the dog start before the runner is hidden, but that's okay. It's not a big problem. But you see how the emotion of the dog has changed, and Ernest is celebrating. And there is also a very interesting thing, because now they have finished, and Ernest will talk about this. why he decided to do the flip, etc., etc., while the runner is still praising the dog. And now they start because this dog used to work with food, and then the toy, the toy was the dog toy, or was a ball. In that case, it's the toy. They are playing. The runner is a little bit clumsy also playing, but that's okay. He's a lovely guy. And there was a moment here that the church bells start again, and you will see that the dog drops the toy. The emotion of the dog has changed completely. Ernest sees that, and he says, now let me play with my dog. The behavior of the dog, you see that it changes, and they go away to the car celebrating together. Okay, so that is the flip. The flip is also a very useful tool, but you have to be very careful, because some dogs don't like to be handled by somebody else. So you have to be very, very careful with this, because if the dog is scared, you will not be able to do a flip. Okay. You can do it with a relative, or you can also I will not show this because it's too long. So you have to be very careful how you do things. Always think about the dog first. And this is the list of the commandments of when to run an intensity. So that's something that Ernest came up with, and I think it's very, very good and can give you some ideas. So he likes to run intensities after long trips. The first exercise, we always do along an intensity trail. Anytime we run a new component, always. Anytime we run a component that we haven't done in some months. As a warm-up trail, when a long trailing day is coming. I remember, for instance, with Rosalie, also an assistant instructor in Wales, they always do a warm-up intensity before a long training day. This is fantastic. This is like a warm-up for an athlete. This is like a warm-up for an agility dog. Horses warm up also. Why shouldn't we warm up our dogs? So intensities are for this also. You can, of course, rotate. You should rotate the types of starts, the delayed starts, sent article, intensity. So remember always to keep rotating your starts. He runs an intensity right before running an old trail and right after you have run an old trail. And this is important. You could even run an intensity with the runner that will do that has laid the old trail. And can you imagine how effective this will be? If the runner runs an intensity far away and the dog has a good emotion with this runner, and then he has to follow an old trail, but from the same runner, that works wonders. This is fantastic. Also, you can do this if you want to do, for instance, like a casting. You can also do an intensity first with the same runner. Okay, so be creative. Be creative when you use intensities or delays, okay? I continue with point number 7. Every winter, the first trail in the snow also is an intensity. Right before an evaluation, even if it's not with the same runner, of course, you can do a short intensity to put the dog in the mindset of the man-trailing mindset, okay, and prepare for what comes ahead. Of course, in the case of Ernest, who is operational, after working on a real case, the first trail after may be the same day, and if it's not possible the same day, maybe the next day. Because it's especially important this, because in a real case, chances are to find are very small. So you may be working your dog, you may be running like 2-3 trails in different hours of the day, and you may not be finding. So it's important that you do an intensity, if you can, in between those with maybe a helper, or if you cannot because of the circumstances, you do an intensity the next day, okay? Because we don't want the dog to go back home, let's say, thinking, this man-trailing thing is way too difficult, or it's way too boring, okay? Always think, what can I do to help my dog keep loving the job, okay? And use the intensity and the delays for this, because they are meant for this. Okay, I will stop sharing my screen. I don't know if you have any questions about this. Do you think we have forgotten something, Iden, that we could say?
No, I think No, I think like one of the things as well that you've said to me before that I always try to say to my own clients as well is think of your intensities as maintaining motivation. It's not there to fix problems. It's a continual top up in your training all the time. That it's something that you'll be constantly revisiting to make sure that your dog is constantly enjoying themselves. So they get challenged, but then they have really loads of fun in the next
Absolutely.
one. And they get challenged. They don't know when the challenges are coming. Like,
Yeah, absolutely. And I
Yeah.
think one of also the beautiful things about working with intensities and delayed starts, it's that it makes the game always fun. And then if we add component training, it's even more fun because the dogs never know what is coming on that trail, but they know that they are successful. So of course this boosts them so much, and their motivation, their self-esteem, and all these things that we need in our dogs, whether they are operational or they do it just for fun, because we want them to have joy and to enjoy the mantrailing with us. I don't know if I don't think there are any questions, but of course people know that they can contact us if they want to ask any questions. I just or maybe if Tibor, if Irina, Rosalie, any of the instructors that are or assistants that are here, or Andri, Aurel, hello. Anybody has any questions, you can tell them now. You can ask to talk, or if not, you can contact us directly. I will tell you before we wrap up that I spoke with Irina Brunina from wonderful assistant instructor from Latvia, that I would like to do another webinar with her about reading the dogs and how challenging this is, but how important is this. Irina has a lot of experience on real cases, and she knows how important it is when you are on your own out there to be able to read your dog. And I think this is going to be also a very interesting chat. It's not a webinar really, it's more a chat between friends. And we will give you the details soon, but it will be probably the first week of September. And of course, we will also post it on YouTube so everybody can watch it. Okay, so Iden, if you don't want to say anything else, I think we will wrap it up for today.
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you very much, everybody. It's great to see you from all these countries all over the world. And we will see you hopefully soon, somewhere. I am traveling
Maybe
now.
in Barcelona.
Yes, I see you, Irina, in Barcelona in August. She's coming on a holiday, and of course, I told her you cannot come to Catalonia and not tell me. So I will see Irina in Barcelona soon. We have a seminar then in Austria, and I'm going also to the UK. I'm very excited about it. And we're going to Slovenia in October for the first time, and I'm also very excited about it. So it's gonna be a great end of the year, second semester of the year. I'm gonna get crazy. This year has been too much, but I have so much happiness, you know, that it brings me so much happiness to meet all these people from all over the world and share my passion with mantrailing. Thank you, Rosalie. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. In September, Jane. Yes, I look very much forward to it. So thank you very much, and see you over there. Happy training.
Thank you.
Enjoy
Thank you so
your
much.
cold weather. Think about for us at 38 degrees.
Bye.
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 See you in Gemunden. See you,
Thank you.
everyone. Bye.